Well, hello there, Skywinders. Welcome back to another episode of Skywind 007. On today's episode, we have this right here. This is the Adventureridge portable coffee maker. And I got this from Aldi. So this was one of the Aldi finds. So you can go to their website and find out about it. But anyway, while I was there, I could tell that this product frustrated a lot of people. And the reason why I say that is because I looked up a lot of the boxes. And most of them were open and they looked like somebody had returned them because they can't figure out how to make it work. And it is a bit complicated, but you can do it. So unfortunately, they do give you some instructions, but they're not very helpful. Let me take off my gloves. And by the way, I do use gloves just to make the video cooler. But you don't have to use gloves for any of these products. So you do get instructions, and they are a bit complicated to follow. I wish they would just give you a QR code and that links to a video. That would be easier. So this is how you set it up. So it definitely looks like a lot, and I have been using it already, and I put it back in the box just to make this video. But before we move on, I want to tell you what it's for and what it's not for. This is not for you to go to your office, like take it to your office and make coffee there. You can if you want, but it's not practical for that reason. And it produces too little bit of coffee, too little amount for that. This is more like going camping. It's meant to be compact. See, a compact like that. And if you look at the box, it's about Adventureridge. This is camping stuff. Okay, so now that we know what it's for and what it's not for, of course that's up to you how you want to use it. I'm gonna disassemble it and we're gonna look at all the parts. So before we move on, if you buy this, you want to make sure you have every part. The only thing that you can go without is the 2 cups. You can get your own cup, but everything else is essential. So let's disassemble it. Okay, so I would say that there are 12 parts. And 11 or 12 parts depending on how you look at it. So you have 2 cups. These 2 on the left are the cups. This is the water tank. This, I don't know what the name would be. It has a hole there, but in here is gonna go the container that holds the coffee. This is the spout right here, and this is just a plug. This controls the flow of the coffee, and it prevents accidental spillage. This right here covers, this goes over here, so this covers the canister, the coffee canister. I'll call it coffee canister. So make sure that gasket is there. If you can look at it, there's a red gasket, brown gasket. So make sure that gasket is there. It does not come off easily, so it should be there. Now right here, this is our measuring cup. And this is our main vessel. I'll call it a main vessel. I don't know what to call it, but the main part, you know, the base. And here's a gasket. So this is why I said it was 11 or 12 parts, depending on how you look at it. So if this is, sometimes I saw it on the other boxes that this was loose and it came out. So if you buy this, make sure that this gasket is there. And finally, we have this rubber part. This just connects the this right here, the canister, the coffee canister, with the base, the main vessel, whatever you want to call it, and it prevents the coffee from moving sideways, so it just goes in the center. So like I said, 11 or 12 parts, and 12 parts including that gasket, and there are no more gaskets. And basically this is all essential, except maybe the 2 cups. You can go without the 2 cups and the measuring cup, and you can still deal with this like that. But if any one of these things are missing, do not buy it or go ahead and return it, because it's not going to work out without any one of these essential parts. Okay, so let's assemble it. So like I said, I read the instructions, and at first I was daunted by it because I couldn't figure it out. So I just started playing with it until I figured it out. Okay, so let's start with the main vessel or the base. And the first thing you want to do is put this rubber thing in here. And it's supposed to be like this. So that donut thing has to be facing up, and this has to align, this right here has to align with that right there. So oops, so let's see, and there it'll sit perfectly if it's correctly aligned. If it doesn't, if you don't align it correctly, it'll be like that. Some of it will be pushed up like that. So right there it's correctly aligned because everything's nice and flat. So that's our main vessel. So the next part I want to install would be the water tank, I guess. Yeah. So the water tank is going to go over here. And there we go. So I'm not going to put water in there yet because we're just learning how to assemble this. So now let's assemble the coffee, the canister, well, I don't know, the part where the coffee is made. So this right here is your filter, and this connects to this. So you can plug it in like this. Is your filter, this is your canister, coffee canister. This is where the coffee is gonna go. So connect it like that. So it's just pressure. There's no screwing. And the next thing you want to do is grab this right here. This is the plug, and this is the spout where the coffee is going to come out. And make sure it goes in like that. So let's do that again. There's a hole. There's a bigger hole. So it goes in the bigger hole like this. And then you have to make sure that when you put this in there, that thing goes into this pipe. Like that. Okay, so we're getting close to finishing it. So now you want to sit this like this. So remember, make sure that this rubber is properly seated and flat, and that donut part is facing up. And then just center this. I know my camera is not showing. Let me move up the camera. So again, just make sure the rubber's there flat and center it, and you'll feel it when it moves, when it sits in place. And then you come with this cover right here, and this one does screw in. So at this point everything is assembled. So you're left with only the 2 cups and your measuring cup. So if you were to go camping, you would hide this in the tank, which is this bottom part. You would put that in the tank, and then you would put this on top, or I think down there, and then this over here. So everything is contained in that in this one thing, this one device. And of course they do give you this, so if you don't want to use the box, you can just use this. You can tell that this was a return because you can see the scratches. I did not do that scratches, or it might have happened during shipping. But I have the feeling that people kept buying this thing and they couldn't figure it out, and they just returned it because I couldn't figure it out from the instructions. And it does come with some really nice instructions. There's even color there. And there's some more instructions in the box itself right here, the basic part. But I still couldn't figure it out. So now let's talk about how it actually works. So once you have it assembled, you might want to take out the 2 cups. And let's remove the tank. So basically you fill the tank with water. It's supposed to be hot water. You can't do it with cold water because you're going to get cold coffee. You don't want that. And then you go over here to the front cap. So now we got hot water in there. And then you remove this, and you just remove the canister from the filter, and the filter stuck to the spout, so just leave it like that. You don't have to disassemble that. And the instructions do say to fill this to the level with coffee, ground coffee, of course. You don't want to do instant coffee because that's not the point. You could, but that's not the point. So you're supposed to, once you have the coffee here all the way to this level, you put this like that, and then you flip it around, and now the coffee is going to be in here. And once you have that, the coffee in there, you close this like this. Make sure that there's no gap between the gasket, the rubber gasket, and the plastic. Should be completely closed. And now you are ready to sit this over here again. Remember, this rubber has to be flat, seated flatly. And you find the place where it just sits. It just finds this spot, and you're gonna feel that. And then you put the cover, the front cover, like this, and you tighten it out. So now at this point you have the coffee in there, the ground coffee, and then you have this hot water in here. You could do that backwards if you want. You can put the coffee first and then put the hot water later, so it doesn't cool down while you're doing the coffee. So I think that would be better. I did it backwards. So do the coffee first and then do the water, the hot water. And we are now ready to pour coffee. So the instructions say to unlock this. So you do it counterclockwise, or like they say in because I think this is from England or some, it said anti-clockwise. So anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, same thing. And this spits out, this jumps out like that. This is a pump. So you set your coffee cup over here, and you invert that, and then you start pumping like that, and you're gonna see the coffee flowing until it runs out, and you are done. So at that point you're ready to drink the coffee, and if you like sugar or stevia or any kind of sweetener, you can add that at that point. I would recommend that you do that after it comes out. Don't mix it with the coffee because it's not going to mix perfectly, but it's up to you. It's not going to damage anything. And hopefully you'll have like a stirring spoon or something, and then you can drink it. So as you can see, it's not a whole lot. So we're going to measure how much we get. But what I'm going to measure is the tank itself, how much we can put in there, so we'll know how much coffee you can make. So this is obviously, like I said, not for the office. It's not for the any kind of social event. You wouldn't want to be seen, in front of your friends, family, or colleagues doing this, because you'll look funny. People are gonna think you're crazy or something. This is more like for camping or going, to Mount Everest. You're at the top of Mount Everest at the summit, and you want to drink coffee, so you can bring this along. I don't know where you're gonna get hot water at the summit of Mount Everest, but it's up to you how you do that. Maybe you brought some propane, and you can do it. So looks like fun. So now it's time to test it out. Okay, so I'm done grinding this coffee, and it's now time to pull out a little bit, just enough to fill this measuring cup that came with the coffee maker. Okay, so the coffee is ready. So now let's fill up the tank. Okay, so this is hot water. And now let's install the tank. And now let's remove the top. And according to the instructions, remember, you remove the filter, and then you have the canister. And the instructions say to do this. Put it like that, Flip it around. And there you go. Now let's install the filter. Here's our filter. And I think I have too much coffee in there, but there we go. There should be no gaps. And now install this over here. Remember, make sure that rubber thing, it's there and it's nice and flat. Nothing's coming out. And put the cap. And now we are ready to pump coffee. So bring any one of the cups. I'll use the bigger one. And remember, the instructions say to counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. Pull that out. And now you are ready to pump. And by the way, it's nice and watertight. So nothing's coming out even though there's hot water in there. So let's pump this. Let me aim the camera closer. Smells good. Sounds horrible, but smells good. And my hands are getting tired. What? Looks like I ran out of water. So I ran out sooner than I thought I would. Yeah, I'm out of water. So that's a bit disappointing, but anyway, it's time to go get some sugar, and I'm gonna tell you how it tastes. Let me go get the sugar. Okay, so here's our sugar. So this is stevia. This might be too much, but so it's time for the big moment. Let me test it off camera. Wow, this is amazing. This is actually the best coffee I've ever tasted. Too bad it's so little. There's no bitterness at all. That is weird. Just amazing. Normally I add a lot of creamer to coffee just to get rid of just to hide the bitterness. But this one, for some reason, for some odd reason, it's not bitter at all. I am done. So I'm impressed with the flavor. Very good coffee. Definitely the best one I've ever made. But the problem is that it's so little that even if you want good coffee, I wouldn't recommend it for that purpose, because it's just too little. This is more of a camping device. So let's wrap things up. Okay folks, so we have reached the end of this review, and overall I cannot give this thing a rating because this is so specific to campers. And I know I got this from Aldi, and I know a lot of people were returning this because I saw the boxes were open. Some of them were missing items, like missing parts, and they looked different, like they had been returned because people couldn't figure out. I think people couldn't figure out how to make this work or how to assemble it. I don't know. So it is complex, so that's a problem. The instructions didn't help. It's this complex. They should have added a QR code to link to a video. That would have been a lot better. And so that's bad about it. The assembly and getting it to work. It's nothing's labeled. I wish they would have labeled this tank or coffee cup or whatever. Doesn't matter. But my biggest issue with it is not the complexity of getting it to work, but rather the amount of coffee that you get out of it. I did just get a little bit, which might be enough. Depends on your preferences. But for me, I wish it would have been at least these 2 cups. Now, as far as the flavor, it was amazing. The best flavor. I'm not joking. It's the best flavor or the best coffee I ever made. Now, as far as the quality and build quality, this is very strong plastic. It feels like you could run it over with an 18-wheeler with a truck, or like a 18-wheeler, a bus, school bus, and it wouldn't break. I'm not gonna give it a rating, but as for campers, I would give it probably a 3 stars out of 5 because there's not enough coffee coming out of this. The tanks are too small, so I have to take 2 stars off. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and thumbs up.